Have you ever invested in a course only to realize that the person who created it had absolutely no idea how to teach? Well, you're not alone. And today's guest took that moment of frustration and turned it into a thriving business. In this episode, I chat with Jasmine Jonte, a former teacher turned course creation powerhouse. We talk about how she helps experts turn their hard-won knowledge into binge-worthy, high-retention learning experiences. Because from working with clients across 70-plus niches to integrating AI into her workflow, Jasmine shares how she scaled a team, systematized her expertise, and still kept the human heart of teaching alive. Now, Jasmine doesn't just build courses, she builds transformations. With a background in education and over 140 programs developed, her unique blend of instructional design and business savvy is exactly what many of my listeners need as they shift from one-to-one work into scalable offers. Welcome to the Online Business Launchpad podcast. I'm Trudy Rankin, and I help people who need a flexible work-from-home option grow the online side of their business so they can earn more, stress less, and have greater freedom in how they live. So I'm really fascinated to be able to talk with you today and just to understand a little bit more about how that actually works, because I have a lot of people who are experts who do listen to this podcast and people who are still in a career and they might like to make a shift, and knowing how to be able to do that is really important. So thank you for being on the show, Jasmine.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'd like to start out just by getting you to just explain a little bit to the listeners where you've come from, what's your story, how have you gotten to what you do now?
Well, it's probably not surprising that I come from the classroom. I am a teacher by trade, and I taught kindergarten and first grade, and I taught in the lowest performing school in the country in the United States, which at the time was in Detroit, Michigan. And so in that kind of environment, it's a necessity to make learning simple and fun for your students and to get buy-in and to have them engaged and to know your audience, right? And I didn't understand that would apply to business in the future. And lo and behold, that's the superpower, is actually knowing how to teach. At least that's my superpower, I should say. And I credit that experience a lot with everything I do today, even though now I run a business.
I find that interesting because people who don't have kids or haven't been exposed to kids too much might be thinking, well, how hard is it to teach a little kid, somebody who's in kindergarten? Trust me, I have grandkids. It's not that easy at all. If you're trying to hold their attention, it's just fascinating. So the lessons that you learned there have stood you in good stead. So what was your path to actually turning your superpower into a business?
Well, I started in my third year to side hustle, mainly because I was making the money. I don't know if you know this, but teachers don't get paid well. And so I just started side gigging, and one of those things was a business. Now, I didn't ever, when I started that, I didn't see myself leaving the education realm. I thought I would go on to become an instructional designer at a university or something like that. And it was in my fourth year that I just got completely burnt out in the classroom. I just kind of hit my limit and said, okay, I'm going to take this little side business, which was health coaching. Okay. And I'm just going to take that and make that the main thing. And so the next 4 years after I was making that health coaching thing the main thing, I basically niche hopped. I was just trying to find my place. And while I never had an issue getting people results, it didn't matter what niche it in, it didn't matter the result I was trying to support my clients in achieving, everyone always got results. I just couldn't figure out the other elements of business, like sales and marketing and all those skills. And so then I bought a course on how to market your online business. It was $7,500. I logged into the portal and it was just so bad. It was just such a bad program. And I'll never forget having this epiphany that just because someone's really good at marketing and sales doesn't mean they're going to deliver for you. And it doesn't mean that they're good at teaching you what they know. Because just like sales is a skill and marketing is a skill, which I can happily say I've since learned, teaching is also a skill. And that was the gap that I realized I could help other people fill.
That's interesting, because my first reaction was when you said that is that I hope you got your money back.
I tried and I was held to the contract. I had done a deposit or something and he held me to the deposit, which I understand as a business owner. That's why we have contracts in place. And what's really crazy is I actually ran into that expert at an event last year and he didn't remember me, which, like, why would he? I was just one of his thousands of students because he's making tens of millions of dollars, or at least he claims on the internet. And he shared with me his beta launch process. And I was like, yeah, I know, because I went through your program and it was clear you had a beta and just never upgraded it. And I was like, that's not how you do it. Here's how you actually teach. So I made my way back around to trying to help him. I don't know if it landed on deaf ears, but we persist, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do the best that you can. And it's interesting. Like, I really appreciate that story, because to me, maintaining and building relationships is one of the critical things about building a sustainable business. And I'm curious as to your opinion about this, but how important is it for people who are experts, who are trying to build their expertise into a business where they're working with other people, teaching other people? How important is it for them in terms of relationship and relationship marketing?
I think that in the world of AI, I know we touched on this a little before we hit the record button. In the world of AI, like, your reputation is everything. Like, who you are and how you show up and how you relate to other people, that's the realness that people are looking for and want and are attracted to. So I really think that if it was important before this whole wild new era, it's even more important in the future.
That makes me a little bit curious, and let me explain why. For some reason, I tend to work a lot with people who are on spectrum, they're neurodiverse. It's probably better to say that they're neurodiverse. And being able to understand, it's not that they can't be empathetic, it's not that they can't, see what's going on, but sometimes it can be really hard to see things from the other person's viewpoint or through the other people's eyes. If you haven't experienced, it can be difficult for anybody to do that. How do you, or are there ways that you use to help people start to be able to flip around from going, I'm talking about what I do because I understand what I do, to talking about what you need and how I can help you? How do you help people do that?
Do you mean from, like, the neurodiversity perspective?
Anybody's perspective, because that's been one of the biggest things that I find that people who are starting businesses and want to sell something or need to sell something struggle with. But it's even harder. It can be even harder, not for everybody, but for a lot of people who are neurodiverse, it can be even harder than if you're not neurodiverse.
Yeah. I think part of it is asking the right questions, and always maintaining that curiosity about people. Especially, like, I think about market research is something that comes up a lot in our work, because many of our clients and our audience members, they want to validate a program or an offer before they build it, which I get it, especially for certain levels of business and areas of expertise. Like, we want to do that. And most people would say, oh, let me just go to AI and do the market research. And I think that's a really great approach if you have multiple ideas and you're trying to discern which one to really go after. But once you've honed in on it, nothing is as powerful for market research as just having a one-on-one conversation with an ideal client and asking the right questions and getting curious. And we learn all of these things by asking questions that we couldn't by just talking to a chat bot or sitting in our own echo chamber wondering, I wonder what their life's like. So I think really everything is like, asking good questions and remaining curious.
So I'm going to just poke that one just a little bit. First of all, I really completely 100% agree with you. But one of the things that I've discovered over the years for myself and for the people that I do work with, and that is that it's one thing to say, ask good questions. It's another thing to understand what a good question looks like. Can you give us some examples based off of the work that you've done with some of your experts?
Yeah, I think we often hear the question, what keeps you up at night? Or we hear the question, what are you struggling with? On the flip side, if I could wave a magic wand right now and poof the solution into existence, what would it look like? And those are good questions. But the better question is the follow-up question. When they respond with a question, or we ask a question like, what are you struggling with right now? And they're like, oh gosh, lead gen. Man, lead gen's really hard for me right now. How so? Well, I'm trying LinkedIn and it's just not working. Tell me more. Do you see what I'm doing? Like, you just have to keep asking until you get the clarity, the full, clear picture of what they're actually saying. Does that help?
Yes, it absolutely does. It's akin to that technique about, when you basically, listen to the last thing they said and you use your curiosity and you come up with a question that's based off of the last thing they said so that you can understand more what they meant by what they said. I think that's really powerful. So I'm curious then, so you had this experience with this course creator, the person who's good at marketing and sales, and you're trying to get better at marketing and sales, and then they suck at the teaching side of things. What was the next step after that? What took you from there to where you are now?
Well, it was in that moment that I realized, oh, I have this skill set that I can help others with. And I was like, well, if this guy just hired me to build his program, it would be way better. And I don't even know what he teaches. Because the truth about being a teacher and knowing instructional design is you don't actually have to know the subject matter. You can learn the subject matter from an expert, and you just apply the skill of instructional design and learning experience design to the subject matter. And so then I realized, well, I'd really like to do that. And then I made some calls to my friends because I was like, am I crazy? It came so natural to me. I thought it wasn't, I was like, everyone can do this, right? Like, this is normal that people can teach. And so I called some friends and I told them about like my completion rates and my ascension rates. And they were like, that's very not normal. So then I decided, all right, well, let me just trial this and let me build for a couple people. I put a Facebook post out there. I built my first handful of courses within a few months. And that was it. I was sold. I was like, it's like the Ikigai equation, like I finally hit all four of those things right in the middle. And I've been doing it ever since. At first, it was just me and a couple of admins. And now we have a team of like 14 or something crazy. And we're building all different kinds of courses all day. And I should say curriculum and learning experiences for experts all day, every day. And we love it.
So I want to dig into that just a little bit because that's a little bit different too, in some ways, as a business. It's a little bit different to, I'm an expert in something. I'm going to teach you that expertise so that you can go out and become a beginner in it yourself or an advanced practitioner of that. And I'm just going to create the course that's around this one specific niche. But what you're saying and what I really am interested in terms of your business is that you're going, I have a way of making any concept or any area of expertise accessible to people who aren't familiar with it because I know how to design good, how to design good instructional materials. And I'll call it that. I think most people wouldn't think of it that way in terms of instructional materials, but the stuff that you get when you sign up for a course, and that's what you learn from. And I'm a little bit curious. So just off the top of your head, how many different areas of expertise would you say that you are working with at the moment?
At the moment, somewhere between 15 and 18.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere between, maybe more. Yeah, at least 15. Let's say that. At least 15. So like right now, we're working with clients who are tarot education experts. We have someone who's a real estate investing expert. We have someone who is a PR and influencer marketing expert. We have someone who, we just finished one on a cosmetic dentistry program, like how to actually do dental work for people for composite veneers, okay? It really runs the gamut. So we've built over 140 programs at this point, and all of them are wildly different. I think we tracked at least 70 different niches. Now, and a niche like real estate investing would be a niche, but then there's sub niches like tax liens or multifamily or fix and flips, right? Those would all co-living, like those would all be sub niches of this larger niche. So yeah, you could say that we have this methodology of how to help experts help others get the result that they got, and they've gotten their one-on-one clients despite their niche.
That's fascinating, because you'd be able to take that knowledge that you have, that framework that you have, and reuse and reuse. Do you do white labeling in terms of, when you work with your expert, you get your expert and they come in and then you work with them to actually create this thing, because you need some expertise, access to some expertise, but kind of just walk us through the process that you use from the time that an expert knocks on your door and says, hey, I'd like some help.
Yeah, it is highly collaborative because of what you just said. Like, all of the knowledge is trapped in their brain. Oftentimes. Sometimes they'll have presentations and keynotes that they've given. Sometimes they'll have group coaching videos that they've pulled together just with people live. So we'll take in those things, and that's phase one, is we evaluate what they have. We also work with authors, and they've kind of put their body of work in a book already, and then we're deciding, okay, well, what of that book are we translating into some kind of online learning experience? But that's stage one. So we evaluate what they have. Stage two is our marketing stage, where we map the offer. So how are we going to productize your expertise? Because that could go many different ways. And how does that fit into your current business model? So that's step two. Step three is our architect phase, where we outline their framework. So what's their unique methodology and the outline, like the actual program outline of what are all the videos, what are the modules, is there a facilitator's guide? We'll walk through the experience design of anything that's happening in the community or the group coaching calls, etc. So that's architect. And at this point, we have the blueprint. That's why I called it architect, because now we know what to build. We just got to go build it. And during the build phase, we're doing interviews so that we can pull all that wisdom out for whatever it is, whatever part of the program we're building. And then we write the video scripts and the workbooks and the AI tools and all of the assets that might need to be built, get built before we go to video production. And then the upload into like whatever the online portal is, the Kajabi, Thinkific, Teachable, Circle, et cetera, et cetera. So evaluate, marketing, architect, build, video, and then upload.
And then do you help them with the marketing afterwards? Because you said marketing at the beginning, but there's always marketing, always ongoing. So how do you work with that as well?
We don't do marketing execution. I think that most of my clients are in a place where they need to focus on one channel. And I don't want to be a full stack marketing agency, and I don't have the experience to be a full stack marketing agency. In fact, my CMO is the one who does the marketing section of our programs, because has the experience and the cred of building, multiple multi-seven businesses in the expert space. So what we do is we provide the strategy that then they pass off to their team and or a specialist in a certain channel, and it becomes like the glue between the marketing team and the product development team, which is what we do. I find a lot of people struggle when they work with someone to build their course, but they haven't thought about the marketing. And then it's like they're trying to vendor glue all these people together, but like there's no quarterback and nobody really knows what's going on. So this really reduces or eliminates it, because now they have an execution plan. So they go and hire the LinkedIn person and hand them the execution plan.
That makes a lot of sense. And it makes me curious because of my background, which was in corporate for many years. It sounds like, first of all, you said you had, didn't you say like 14 people on your team? So
they're not all full time, but yes.
Doesn't matter.
They're consistently working on projects. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you've got somebody working for you even an hour a week, you've got to look after them and do stuff. I'm curious because I know that just as there's a big shift between being an expert and then learning how to share your expertise with others so that they can understand it. That's a big leap. That's a big shift. There's also a big shift from going from somebody who's running a solopreneur business, a sole trader business, and being somebody who runs a team. And with your background as a teacher, you would have known a little bit about herding cats because, you're working with little kids. But it can be a little bit different when you're actually hiring people and bringing them on the team. Can you just talk a little bit about your experience and your journey of going from somebody who was teaching little kids into somebody who's actually the boss of a business and managing teams and not necessarily doing the hands-on work yourself.
Yes, it's actually a very important distinction because many people, they get to the point where they're trading time for money. They're a solopreneur and they get booked out and they're like, what now? And I wish there were 3 options. I feel like there might be a third and it will come to me one day. But as of right now, right this minute, as we're talking, there's really 2 options, which is like option number 1, build a team who can deliver it for you, which everyone says, oh, they can't do. It's my brain. No one else could do it. Yes, they can. You kind of have to kill off parts of your identity every time you bring on a team member. You're just like, oh, actually, someone else could do that better. And when you get to that truth, it's easy to do option number 1, which is what I did. I built a team. Option 2 is to create leveraged offers. And that's really what we do, right? Is we help experts who they don't really want to manage a whole team. They kind of want to get out of the service game and they want to provide other people the opportunity to, or their clients the opportunity to help them get their own results and be their guide rather than the doer. Okay. So for a long time, I had this battle of identity, like, oh, I should do that because I can teach. And what I learned is I actually really love being in the weeds. Like, I really love the nitty gritty. I am more integrator than I am visionary. And it works with my skill set to design a team that can provide service. And I am so blessed. My team is incredible. And really, my secret is that I hire teachers. That's my whole secret. Is I hire people who are organized, who have integrity, and who really care about students at the end of the day, because that's really our whole job is, yes, we care about our experts, but we care about their students more a lot of the time. And that, like, since making that shift of like, okay, I'm going to go and hire teachers who are trying to transition out of the classroom or who want to side gig, the culture fit has just been incredible.
And that's kind of interesting because, yeah, you're right. The culture fit is an incredibly important piece of hiring somebody. And I'm curious because this is one of the things that I came away with from my time in corporate and managing big teams. This is that there typically tends to be 2 types of people, workers, and it's not locked into it, but typically people are usually better at one or the other. And some people can do both, but they're still usually better at one than the other. And that is, one person can be really good at going, give me a set of instructions. I'll follow them and I'll do it right. I'll make sure it works and I'll be really meticulous and detailed about it. And you need those people. And then there's the other set of people who can go, okay, tell me what you want to accomplish and I'll go in and figure out how to do it myself. And you give me some guardrails to go by, but I can do this by myself. I don't need you to micromanage me. I don't need a list of instructions. And you need people who can kind of do both, but you also need, in different situations, you need somebody that's stronger at one than the other. In your case, have you found that's also true for the people that you bring into your team? Or is that something that is just, I've learned that because I managed a bunch of people who are in IT for years?
Yeah, it might be some of the IT. No, I for sure have bucket 1. I have some of those on my team and they want everything to be spelled out. And we don't have a problem with that. Like our SOPs, our trainings are really great. We bring on learning experience designers and they're trained up like just using the video trainings and the SOPs. They do a little bit of shadowing, but not a whole lot. And then they're off to the races. So providing those people who want that steadiness inside of like project management and whatnot is great. And we can do that. And I definitely will say my CMO, she is more of the like, I'm a strategist. I'm a big girl. Let me run this the way I need to run this. And you know what? Like, it's great. And she runs it. And the one thing we always get agreed on, though, is the outcome. Yes. Because I don't really care how she gets the outcome, to be totally honest. There's some things that the process is really important. But with her role and what she does, you know more than me. You are the expert. As long as you get the outcome, like, we are good, girl. And then there's a few people that are kind of in the middle where I give them the structure and the framework, and then they have flexibility to play inside of that. And sometimes that takes a little bit of experience for them to feel confident playing inside of it. But usually after working with a couple clients, they get there. So yeah, I think it's interesting because I have both, and then I kind of have this hybrid thing in the middle too.
which I think is really healthy because you do need both, I think, to have a really well-balanced organization. That's interesting to me. And it sort of takes me to my next question, which is obviously this is flavor of the month. People are probably starting to get a little bit sick about hearing about this, but yes, it's AI. And I'm curious about do you use AI in your business? And if you do, how do you use it in a way that I guess helps you stay true to who you are, but also helps your experts stay true to who they are?
We do use it. We use it a lot. We're an AI-friendly company. I would not say that we're AI first, but we are AI-friendly. And we look at it as our creative partner. We look at it as the person who's the rough drafter, if you will. And it's been really helpful across so many things in the organization, not to mention like it's getting our clients' projects done more quickly, which means that they get their programs out in the world and selling more quickly. So they're making money more quickly. Who doesn't love that, right? So it is important to us that though we're having all of those pros, we recognize there are downsides to it, and we're not using it as a shortcut so much as it's creating space so that we can put time and attention into making the programs that we build even better. I'll tell you, in 2024, we could not be nearly as creative as we are with our client projects now because we were typing every single letter of every single video script. And we were doing hundreds and hundreds of video scripts a year. Like the pure workload meant that we couldn't flex our creative muscle as much as we can now. So there's pros and there's cons. And I think it's just about mitigating the risks while milking what you can.
So I'm curious, and this is me being personally curious.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I enjoy the challenge of working with AI tools, but also really conscious that it's really important to stay human about it, keep the human voice. In terms of the use of AI tools, what would be your top favorites? What are the ones that because there's two different ways of using it, right? There's one that's helping you streamline your business, and then there's the ones where you use to help with producing the work for your clients. Let's talk about the ones that you use to help streamline your business. What would be your favorites? Which ones would you use the most?
Our favorite LLM is ChatGPT. I do like Claude, and we just all adopted ChatGPT first, and a lot of our systems are built on it. So we do love that one. As far as video editing for our clients as well, but also for my business, we use Descript.
Oh, yes. Yay for script.
Yay. We love Descript. And I'm trying to think one more. There's so many. Okay. So have you heard of Senja?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay. So it's more of an automation tool than an AI tool. Okay. Essentially, it is a testimonial and success story gathering hub that allows you to auto post to websites. I have a few forms, and this is good for anyone. If you're listening and you have a business and if you have a team, like you can absolutely use this system. So first is a form that our client can fill out. Our client fills it out. Their testimonial is auto posted to the website. And we get I have it set up so that we get a Slack notification so that my team cross posts to our social media. Same thing, if a client says something nice on a call with a team member, the team knows to go to our team member submission form. The team member submits it, and same process happens. Auto posts to the website, and then we get the notification and we'll add it to our social media. What I also love about this is it categorizes it based on the client. So if you have multiple testimonials from the same client, or you have a video testimonial and a written testimonial and a screenshot testimonial, like however these testimonials come in, it's all saved by the client name and the client email in their profile. I won't go into it any further. There's many other things, like it makes social media graphics for you and all kinds of stuff, but it's all around sharing your success stories, which I probably had the agency for like 2 years before I made it a point to get testimonials, because I was just so busy doing work. I didn't have time to let me stop and do a testimonial video with someone.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I think that people are just who've only been working on their business for a while tend to forget. That's really critical. That's actually really important, the testimonial side of things. And people can be shy about asking for testimonials, which you shouldn't be, because if people are happy with your work, they are more than happy to share. And look, Jasmine, it's been really interesting talking to you. And I'm aware that time is slipping by quickly. I would like to ask one more quick question before we finish up, but there's so much that we could have covered, so much that we could have talked about, and so many different things that you could have said that would help listeners. What would be one question that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you that you would like to share the answer to with our listeners?
I don't know what the question would be, but I have the response.
Okay, let's hear the response.
So the response is this. Many people get to that choice point that I mentioned, and they're like, okay, do I bring on team to deliver service for me, or do I try to productize my expertise into leveraged offers? And one thing I'll say about choosing this path of creating online programs, courses, retreats, masterminds, this whole thought leader industry, expert industry, is here's the thing I wish everyone knew before they chose that, which is that in order to be successful in this industry, you have to either become or hire a digital marketer. Because when you're dealing with people one-on-one, you're doing low volume, but high ticket. Now there's a way to soften that transition from really high ticket, low volume to high volume, potentially lower ticket, but always it's shifting the fact that right now you only need so many leads, and now you need double, triple, quadruple, 100x the leads you currently did. And the way to get 100x those leads is digital marketing. So, word of caution, most people don't think they can build a course and sip mimosas on the beach and have their PayPal ding. And that's just not how it works, y'all. So hear it now so you can make an informed decision rather than building out a whole program and then wondering, where is everybody?
Yes, absolutely. And you make the choice between spending the time figuring out how to do it yourself or hiring somebody.
That's right.
I think that's been one of the hard lessons that I think a lot of people have had to learn over the years. Yeah. So, Jasmine, it's been so great talking to you. I really appreciate you sharing your story and kind of the things that you've learned over the years. And if people were interested in either contacting you, if they're an expert and they'd like to sort of be able to share that expertise with other people in a way that actually makes them money, where would they find you, and where's the best place to contact you?
So our website has all the information. You can go just to www.creation.co. It should be linked in the show notes because we do have an 8 in our name, which makes it kind of challenging to just go to the internet and type. So that's where you can learn about us and our services and book a call with my team. If you're interested in learning more, you can go to creation.co/Netflix to understand how you can create a program that gets students results. And it's /Netflix because the whole guide is called 10 Next Level Strategies to Make Your Program as Binge-Worthy as Netflix.
Oh, I see.
And we have a custom GPT that you can actually talk to, speaking of AI, you can talk to this GPT. It's trained on all my information and our case studies. So you can see, okay, well, if you were going to do this, or if you even have a course and you want to make it better, how would you make it amazing and a cut above the rest of the programs out there? So yes, those are the best ways to get some more info.
That's fascinating. Yeah. And I will put those in the show notes so that people can actually realize that there is an 8 in creation. They can just click on the links from the show notes. Once again, Jasmine, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to my conversation with Jasmine Jonte. I hope it sparks some ideas about how you can take your own expertise and turn it into something powerful that truly helps others while growing your business. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback helps other listeners find the podcast, and I do read them. And hey, if you want regular tips, tools, and advice from experts about building the online side of your business, I've got a newsletter just for that. You can head over to onlinebusinessliftoff.com/newsletter and sign up today. That's onlinebusinessliftoff.com/newsletter. And thanks so much for listening.